Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now November 28th of 2023, and as we get closer to the new year, we have, of course, a lot of those over at Disney, such as Bob Iger and the board of directors, that are already anticipating an even more difficult year because of how it's going to be very barren for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and among many other brands that fall under Disney. Now, we know that Bob Iger has really been stringing along the core customers, the shareholders, by lying as much as he can, saying whatever he has to say to get people into theater seats of his films and or to get people to sign up for Disney Plus or to go to the Disney parks around the globe. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about the Marvels is that there is absolutely no sign of a recovery with this movie at the box office. This movie is done for. In fact, there are already concrete plans to get this thing on Disney Plus as early as January. That's the talk right now over at Disney and Marvel Studios to get this on that platform within the first 2 weeks of that month. Now, what's interesting about this whole scenario with BRIE LARSON and exactly how we talked about this yesterday, she was let go from 90% of her Marvel Cinematic Universe projects. This ranged anywhere from movies to cameos in upcoming TV shows, including Ms. Marvel, that she was completely dropped from. And this is all a result of the box office collapse of the Marvels itself. Now, looking ahead here, one thing about BRIE LARSON is that we know that she's very self-absorbed with her role of Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. And, well, let's get into the actual specifics here. Now, with the Marvels still failing at the box office, with no recovery possible at this point, one major development has to do with BRIE LARSON, where she acknowledged both Disney's decisions and the current situation with the Marvels by delivering the following. Returning as Captain Marvel has been an absolute gem, and one thing I agreed on with Nia was that we should expect an angry mob of men that would reject the return of Carol regardless, and my performance of that character. It's just something that you have to face with absolute bravery, and Nia taught me how to stand my ground. Fans are making tons of nonsense claims about this fantastic piece by Nia, but it goes beyond the misguided minority of fans that really don't know what this film is about, and there are certainly other factors why this film didn't meet financial expectations. It had nothing to do with fan reception. I just think Disney didn't give it their all with the marketing of this project, and it's something that is very frustrating as an actress, because that's something you don't have control over. You just sort of have to take it for what it is. But those at Disney and the mistakes they made with this project on how to properly promote this great film that encourages more ensemble casts to be used in the Marvel franchise, that's something for Bob Iger to worry about right now for the future, and maybe he learned a bit on the pros and cons of taking a step back on your marketing approach, especially with this film. They wanted the marketing to be Captain Marvel-centric previously, and I was all for it. But one thing I really had a problem with Disney about was how they shifted from that approach at last minute. So I don't think we really reached as many Captain Marvel fans also that we should have. Now, guys, let me say one thing about BRIE. This is the typical blame the marketing excuse. We had this with Indiana Jones 5, we had this with The Flash, we had this with other films out there, a part of other studios, where a lot of actors and or creators tend to blame the marketing and or that they did not get this movie properly out there to everyone around the globe. And you know what? We know that yes, Bob Iger did dial back on the marketing funds at last minute. Maybe that took a little bit of a toll on the film, but I do not believe at all for 1 second that that was the majority or the major reason why this film flopped at the box office. Let's be real here. We know that they catered this film toward women, and they wanted to make this film for women to kind of up their demographic in that field for the Marvel Universe, and it did not work. In fact, most people that showed up were men, and Disney realized that, and they realized what a big mistake that they had made with director DaCosta and the writers of the film, and that's exactly why she lost also that 10 project deal, was that conception of where the overall movie was going to really head in a specific demographic. Now, here's the thing about the Marvels, is that we know that this film may have been catered toward women by the creators, like Nia, the director, the writers, etc. At the same exact time, though, I believe what they were doing was that they were centering on a younger female demographic, as opposed to fully grown adults. You know, I think that's another reason, or another major flaw that this film had. And when you go ahead and see this movie, you know, it's an aimless story, at least to me it is. The directing is awful, the writing is very cringeworthy. That's just my take on things. Some people like this film, and that's fine. You're open to discuss your opinions below in the comments. Nobody is restricted from that at all. But this movie really had a great opportunity to be a good one if they just took all of the flaws out of the film. The terrible directing, the writing, etc. However, we also know that this movie, in and of itself, BRIE LARSON, I think is another anchor with this film. But let's continue. Alright, so on top of that, she goes on to conclude, so I don't think we really reached as many Captain Marvel fans, like I say. I mean, who doesn't like Carol, besides the loud minority that tries to take her value away in the Marvel Universe? Is she the strongest character? In my opinion, yes, she is in the universe. She faced Thanos, of all people, and that's a role I will never forget that I was involved in. But Disney really missed many opportunities with this future. I mean, we had shot so much extra footage and Kevin just felt it wasn't necessary. I was very let down about that and quite frankly felt like I wasted a part of my life because of how difficult it was to film some of those scenes that were mostly done in studio. I think it's time for Disney to rethink their ways of getting these movies into the eyes of the people at home. That's the issue, and that's the major problem. So again, I mean, BRIE LARSON blaming Disney's marketing, blaming Disney themselves, and really kind of also pointing the finger at the fact that she was supposed to be central in the marketing of this movie, to be on her own for the most part, in all the commercials, the ads, the TV spots, the trailers, the teasers, etc., where they really wanted to put everyone else aside previously in the marketing. Now, she's blaming also that they didn't reach as many Captain Marvel fans in the marketing. I too believe that that has nothing to do with anything about the box office failure. I think that BRIE LARSON is just saying whatever she has to say to divert from the real issue. Like I said before, this movie was catered toward women by women. It was made for that cause. And let's just face it, the majority of Marvel fans, where it stands right now, are men that went to go ahead and see this movie. So when you look at Captain Marvel, even that demographic was mostly men. So I don't know where they got that data from, that this movie was going to be successful if they catered to the opposite demographic, right? Now, look, there's another thing going on here, is the fact that we know that there are some level of agendas thrown in here and there, but the real main issue here is the writing, the director, the production, or the directing and the production of this film. It's just, if you watch closely, you'll see that they really kind of backed out on the funding on some of the studios, on the green screen, the CGI, which look quite awful at times if you really pay close attention. And let's not forget about the sound design. There are moments in this film where the sound design is just way off. So, look, that might be a little bit of a nitpick there, but overall, I think that at the end of the day, Marvel Phase 6 is going to be a very big challenge for Bob Iger, for the Disney Board of Directors, and more. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.